Hi everyone, Simon here with a review of 80's Overdrive. 80's Overdrive is a retro throwback to the arcade classics of Outrun, Chase HQ and the like that. It's available on PC and it really is a proper throwback to this is how the games were at those times, this is how this game is going to be now. That will be Marmite to a lot of people. So particularly if you're a new gamer and you aren't used to some quality of life features and some nuance to the way how you drive, this review does come with a kind of general warning of the game has a very niche audience and it's going to go for it, and I think those people will absolutely adore the game and others may kind of think that it's a little bit bland outside of it. 80's Overdrive sees you primarily in a career mode or a arcade mode, which places you on a giant map where you'll be going around unlocking races by winning or getting on a podium as you kind of travel round the map and seeing different and new locations and winning races. Each race has an entry fee, so once you've purchased your car to start off with, and there's 6 to buy from, although many are gated off at the beginning because of the price of them, and you'll take to the track, pay an entrance fee for the race and go racing. You'll need to overtake cars, avoid all of the traffic who will veer around depending on how dramatic they want to be, and then on quite a lot of the courses you'll also have cops chasing you. You'll see them with a siren coming at you from behind, so you'll need to get out of the way because they're going to zoom up in front of you, drive in front of you and then slam on the brakes, so you need to dodge out the way of those police because otherwise you'll be busted and your race will be over. You can also crash into other cars and cause yourself damage, and crash into subjects at the side of the track and cause even more damage. At the end of the race, depending on where you finish, you'll then get some coins for reward. But out of that, you'll then be buying upgrades for your car, potentially a new car if you can save up enough. But also you'll be paying damage repairs and you'll be paying for fuel as well. So you might get quite a lot of winnings, but if you've been reckless and you've still managed to actually win, which is quite a mean feat to do on 80's Overdrive, it must be said, you'll be paying out a lot of your winnings just to keep your car on the road. It's very easy to have a couple of poor races and go bankrupt in this game, and if you do that, you'll then have to partake in a mini game where your AI competitors, of which there are 9, will then ask you to clean their car for them, and you'll do that by waggling the analog stick around to get rid of the mud off their windshield. And you'll get 50 coins, which will then eventually get you back into the very first race again, and then you can try and build up your money again from there. The game though looks and feels beautiful in terms of its visuals. I really like the eye-catching popping of the background that kind of, I'm going to say parallax scrolls around. I really like the way how that's done, but also the way how the 3D kind of trees all pop up as it goes through. Aesthetically, this game is really pleasing and I love what it's done. The retro synthwave soundtrack is great as well. There's 18 tracks to choose from, so if you want to chill out with that while you're driving, fantastic, they've got you covered. The interesting thing, and I guess the way why I come back to my original point of this is for the purists, is actually in the handling of the game. And when I see games go back to do retro gaming, they either go back to being a purist of this is how the game was, so this is how the game will be, or they'll do some quality of life improvements and bring in new technology to kind of give you an even more rose-tinted view back on retro games, which will then shock you when you actually do go back and play the originals. And you're like, oh my god, it wasn't this good. Or, oh my god, these games were harder. 80's Overdrive does this by making sure that the driving physics are what I would call almost brake-by-wire like. You either turn or you don't turn. You either brake fully or not at all. It is on or off. There is no in between. And that really means that when you're going around a corner, you're going to veer off to the inside more often than not. It also means that you're going to zigzag rather than be able to kind of have any kind of nuance around some of the softer turns. And it makes it actually feel really quite clunky to drive, and a little bit dull, I must say, as you kind of get used to it. There's some nuance to it if you take it into time attack mode, which is where you need to compete multiple stages back to back, very much like the original Outrun. where you would try and you've got different turns where you'd then go left or right and then you'd go into a new aesthetic. The way how it kind of tries to keep you on your toes with that and uses this kind of very archaic and binary steering is that you need to be able to drive close to the traffic, and then it will add 1, 2 or 3 seconds onto your timer as you kind of graze the cars as you go past. And whilst that is fun, it really highlights how binary this turn and turn off is. Because what you're not able to do is do like a soft turn into a corner and just stay in lane whilst you get round a car and get 1, 2 or 3 seconds. You have to basically not turn and then veer in and try and almost chop them off diagonally to get some of the timing to work. And that kind of really highlights to me that this game really could have benefited with some kind of nuance in the driving physics of how the game works, because I found that actually I'd start to get frustrated less in time attack mode but more in the actual mainstay game, because as the levels get longer and the traffic gets heavier and the cops get more aggressive, you would constantly be thinking, if I'm going to zigzag out from this police car now, I'm just going to smash into a car for traffic. Or I'm going to have to slam on the brakes and then I'll kind of have to zigzag my way out of it that way. And it just feels clunky. And not necessarily in a clunky challenge way, as in a clunky, I wish that there would be something more to it way. And that's my real big drawback here from 80's Overdrive. I think the game does fantastically well and everything else. I just wish that there was, even if it was just a soft turn, hold it for longer, goes into hard turn, that would work beautifully. And it's just not here. What is here though is a track creation tool, or a track editor, I guess. It's not necessarily like you place down the pieces themselves. You change different parameters around corners, corner tightness, traffic, an amount of it, how much, if there's police cars and if they're aggressive, whether there's hills or bumps in the road, and how often they're going to occur, and the length of the track itself. And once you've put on those parameters, it will then generate a code for you. You can then test the track that you've just done, and then you can share your code with other people and you can share the same tracks. There's no particular leaderboards for them or anything like that online. It's only local, but you can share codes and then you can compare times offline or off game with each other. And I think that's a great little addition because it does give some extra nuance and fun to 80's Overdrive. So, do I recommend it? It's a tentative one, this, and I think it's very dependent on whether or not you enjoyed Outrun, Chase HQ, Outrun Europa, and that because, and if I give kind of like a real definitive, when I play the original Road Rash games, and that's like mid-90s, they have nuance. Admittedly they're motorbikes, but they have more nuance in how you can turn the car than this 80's Overdrive game does. And I think that's kind of where I'm coming from. If you find those kind of games like, oh, they're too clunky and hard to drive, then I think you'll struggle with this. But if you enjoy that challenge and you go right the way back to your Enduros and that kind of stuff, I think you'll have a ball with 80's Overdrive because it's been designed and created just for you. So tailor your score up or down a point or two depending on how you feel on that question. And I'll catch you in another video. Take care all. Bye. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a collection of media projects ran by me. If you like what you see and want to find out more, visit patreon.com/Higher Plane Network. Your support can make so much more possible, be that a like, a comment, a share, or a pledge. Thanks for watching.